Now presenting to you Supersonic with giant question mark.
I've always... People made a joke about someone modding the game where you're playing a golden question mark.
I've been waiting for that for so long.
I think I saw that once. Maybe.
This has been an epically long recording, Christ.
I mean, at this point, we might as well finish.
All in one day, guys!
Well, no, Sonic wasn't.
The Red Emerald
today.
It's the last one. It all comes together.
Why do you keep
in Pokemon Sun and Moon?
Why do you keep doing that?
Because it cracks me up.
Why?
No, other than the fact that guy openly admits that those things probably would never be canon, and that he just thinks it'd be an interesting thing if they did do it, but still makes these videos.
And once again, to go back to why I have a problem is that Sonic video, we have similarly someone has like 3-hour-long videos making that giant Pokemon theory. This Pokemon shouldn't have a timeline. The timeline is the games.
Except for slight references in the games.
No. Carson, Oris takes place before X and Y.
And it is canon that Gold and Silver, 3 years after Red and Blue.
Okay, but no one ever questioned that Gold and Silver took place after Red and Blue.
That one's kind of hard to not do because they're the same region.
But Oris, they said, took place before X and Y. Well, I don't know how that's possible, because in X and Y they treat Mega Evolution like it's a new thing. But apparently Hoenn's had it for years, and that's why people have to. So
the alternate
Hoenn. Assume, exactly, that's why you have to assume that's true, and because they actually linked it as a timeline with X and Y.
And that's why I despise the Pokemon having a timeline.
Except that Sun and Moon is basically pushing that idea.
But we don't know if it is.
12 hours apart, different events. How else do you explain that?
A theory I have about the 12 hours apart, that rock type that was a dog, its forms, if you go read their description on the Pokemon website, it states that the Sun form was created from the Sun Legendary's power, and the Moon one was created from the Moon Legendary's power. So, for Sun and Moon, my theory is not that they're 12 hours apart, it's that for the story of Sun, it's forced to be day, and for the story of Moon,
but
it's
that's
forced
exactly
to be
my
night.
point.
No, after you capture the Legendaries, they'll go back to normal. That's what my theory is. The Legendaries are causing the time change.
Exactly, but if only one Legendary exists in one game, that instantly makes the multiple timeline thing make even more sense. Because that means in one universe it's forced to be day, in one universe it's forced to be night. That's the whole thing about, and Ruby and Sapphire does that too. In one universe, you have, in one canon, you have, Team Magma is more evil.
Talos is just sliding up!
And in the other timeline,
this is why I always use Emerald's canon.
Well, okay, yeah, you can use Emerald's canon, but Emerald's canon is only canon within Emerald.
That makes more logical sense.
Except then if you then you have to assume that every game has its own canon, therefore there is a multiverse. Whether or not you want to acknowledge it as one is a different. The difference is whether or not you count the canon as every game is equally canon, or every game is only one of the games is canon. If you accept only one game as canon, then you have to disacknowledge any other game that's canon. Therefore, you've made a one single solid canon. Otherwise, you have a multiverse of multiple canons, or a parallel universe of multiple universes of multiple canons. Therefore, the timeline theory, you have to acknowledge the timeline theory is true just based on that logic.
I thought that's what Pokemon was kind of trying to subtly state, was all that stupid link cable thing.
Yeah, no, that's why Oris does it, so that all makes one streamlined canon versus multiple little self-contained canons.
Even though
so it's either one big canon that's not really interconnected, but kind of interconnected and that's all Pokemon, or it's
even though
a whole bunch of completely separate self-contained canons. Also, if you play this, if you start up Sonic's story here and come here, the tornado will not be in the jungle because its model's not loaded there. But Knuckles and Eggman will still be here no matter who you play. So if you start up Supersonic Story and exit it, because it saves Supersonic Story every time you play it, and go back as any other character who can come to Angel Island, or those who can't come to Angel Island, Knuckles and Eggman will be laying on the ground.
you have a permanently glitched file to where they're always laying
No,
there.
It's not a glitch.
It's not a glitch. It's not a permanently glitched file. I just every time I play Supersonic to play the game, I will reload Supersonic so that I can come back here and see their models laying there.
I thought it was always there.
No,
After,
if you beat if you watch this cutscene as Supersonic, they're gone. If I were to load Knuckles up now, they wouldn't be there. But if I finish Supersonic, because it saves every time, and come back there without interacting with that cutscene, they will be there.
I remembered it always being there.
But anyway, yeah, that's how you have to look at Pokemon. If you want it to all be multiple canons, you're acknowledging a parallel universes.
That's why Polygon shouldn't have a canon.
If you want to acknowledge every game as separately canon, which you can do for the most part, you can do that. In which case, they are still a multiverse because each canon is its own canon. So just in the logic of a universal canon, they're all canon.
The point is
because you can't, unless you want to say like they're all canon, or unless you want to say each game generation is canon, but only this game from that generation is canon. But that would only work if every game had a third game.
The point is Polygon shouldn't have a canon.
This is the most non-aggressive attack ever.
Also, then, well, if you get into that, then you're also saying that, well, every game has a canon. Then we get into the subject of, when a game is canon, is it canon within the general canon, or is it non-canon as far as, it didn't happen except within its own canon? Because everything is canon. So, it's like in Bleach. The Bounce are canon within the Bleach anime Bound arc, but in the manga they are not canon, and the manga is the official canon. Since there is no official Pokemon canon, everything is equally as canon, and therefore there is a multiverse until somebody at Game Freak says this is the official canon, or no, there's no canon. All these games are non-canon. But then that makes everything equally canon.
Why can't Polygon have a Metroid Other M-styled retcon? We need a new director to get offended by something.
But then you'll have the reboot, and then one guy's theory will be right.
Also, then we'll get a Pokemon Federation Force.
You know, that one guy says stuff about a Pokemon reboot, but I'm not even sure how they would do that. Like, sure, they could create new Pokemon, but I don't know how to fix the problem that some people have.
Well, bye, Sonic.
I must go, my people need me.
Normally, it's I must go, my planet needs me.
Oh.
That's the old meme. Whoa, blue top face!
I'm getting that weird static problem again, so I guess it's just some cutscenes.
They never intended for the game to be displayed in the way we're displaying it.
So I guess some cutscenes just have a small static sound.
Also, Knuckles said, "Oh, Sonic must be Knuckles looked at Sonic, saw that he was a lifeless puppet, and walked away. Some friend he is.
He just went from like this horrifying.
Knuckles left already. Where did Knuckles go?
Lead the way.
Where? Explain to me where Knuckles went. Because
The jungle?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Knuckles' job is to guard the Master Emerald. Hey Tails, I go take a leak. Watch Master Emerald for me. Wait, where are you gonna go? To take a leak. Can't you just take a leak over there? What am I, some animal? Flies all the way to Station Square.
Can't you just take a leak near the Master Emerald? That would be defiling my people's culture. Oh.
I have to leave Angel Island.
No.
Also, people say that Knuckles glides and cannot fly, but that would insinuate that Knuckles cannot ascend. But Knuckles can go to and from Angel Island. Therefore, Knuckles can ascend. Therefore, Knuckles can fly.
Remember, in the Sonic Ogre
He's just catching air in his dreadlocks, and that gives temporary lift.
Unless you're telling me there is such an updraft directly below Angel Island that he can get there.
Yeah.
What do you think keeps it floating?
Magic.
Remember, he can just fly in the Sonic.
Hey look! It was the last Chaos Emerald.
And now it's gone.
Huh, must have cleared the last special stage.
You know, I just thought
Oh,
of...
this is gonna be a crazy recording to cut.
Eggman just, like...
Future me has quite a hefty plate.
Look, it's that opening cutscene. They reused the animation somewhere. Look at that water.
You mean they made this cutscene and they put in the opening?
We don't know which one was designed first.
I would assume this cutscene.
You don't know how game development works.
Well, I mean, I guess if you can make a secret ending that has nothing to do with an actual sequel and then make a sequel afterwards.
A lot of games, they'll just build pieces and just bridge them together, so that opening cutscene could have literally been made. Someone could have thought, cool, let's use it in the ending. Okay.
And suddenly Station Square actually has people in it.
What do you mean? There have been people all in it.
And I'm going to take the piss out of this. That's sewer water.
Yeah. Actually, it's the ocean revolting.
This is all, or at least a good chunk of this, is sewer water.
Station Square has very clean sewers.
That is a redundant statement.
They clean them every day.
That's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Actually, to be realistic here, if you
People
were...
died.
No, they all evacuated
No,
just in
people
time.
died.
No, what are you talking
There's no
about?
way for them to have escaped. People are dead.
They all evacuated just in time.
Sonic X actually had a good...
When I was younger, that scared the shit out of me.
Sonic X actually had a good point.
That part scared me so much as a child.
Sonic X actually explained the evacuation rather well.
Well, except for just then. There's no way people evacuated that quickly. We just saw them on the ground.
I thought the evacuation thing was the 4 kids one.
Japan had a similar
But it's...
line just because... The Egg Carrier 2!
Which looks just like the Egg Carrier 1. Huh.
He'd already made it.
Yeah, well,
He just built 2 egg carriers in case Chaos lost control. Maybe he knew what the Chaos Emerald was and knew it would be a bad idea to make Chaos Emerald.
Eggman! Stop hitting the blinky sound effect button! No wonder you lose! You didn't shoot! You just hit your audio sounds!
I mean, we could say clearly he didn't know what kind of beast he was using, but I think he probably knew that he only ever wanted to make Chaos 6. Probably knew that Chaos Emerald was on board and just kept Chaos busy without it.
Also, it looks like Chaos gained the magic ability to clip through things.
Also, he's not trying to kill us.
Chico!
No, he's just kind of sitting there.
How do you know my name?
And how did
This fight in Sonic X was the most idiotic thing. Sonic did in. I'll bring it up when Sean's actually playing because
His
what
eyes
Sonic
are-
X did for this is goddamn incredible and how stupid it is.
First, look at that lip movement, and also his eyes are a texture. And this is apparently the big reason this game was on the Dreamcast. This right here, it couldn't be done before. How did Eggman know about Chaos?
Also, is his name Chaos or is it Chaos?
Yes.
Did people just assume because it was spelled Chaos that it was Chaos and it was actually meant to be Chaos? And he's like, maybe he's the culmination of a bunch of mutated Chaos.
Oh yeah, that's something interesting I wanted to bring up, but forgot to. Chaos is apparently supposed to be a mutated Chow. I don't know how that works.
Why is Big here? I thought this would be a good fishing opportunity.
Hey, Sonic!
Why the bird?
They needed.
No,
Yeah.
they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, she did not need it in the end of her cutscene. They did not need it here.
Hey guys, what's up?
This is laziness.
Chaos only used the negative power of the emerald.
Actually, to me, because that is Gamma's bird, I think it was completely intentional just to have Gamma here.
Yeah, I feel like if it was laziness, it would have just
Why-
been
why?
a regular bird.
Why do you hate to admit the Tails is right?
Huh?
He was hype. As much as I hate to admit it, Tails is right.
Oh, yeah. That chatting, that's a Japanese audio recording of an announcement thing at an old Sonic festival.
You also said that chatting.
Also, you know what's funny to me?
Chatting.
They're like, oh, well, you know,
And
they don't have
chanting.
any color, but that was just the negative energy he took. You can just use this stuff and you'll be fine.
The positive. Okay. So, what
Guys,
Sonic...
give me 50 rings now.
What Sonic is going to do, and the way you do this in the game, you get up at full speed and you ram Perfect Chaos.
You ram him in the brain.
In Sonic X, Super Sonic did nothing, so because there was a power plant that's cords were now in the water, Knuckles had to swim into the power plant and activate their generators, shocking the water, destroying Chaos.
What?
Isn't that what the comic did as well? That's what the Archie comics did, right?
So Super Sonic didn't do anything.
That might have just been the comic continuity, but I seem to remember the, in the comics, at the very least, Carson was right. Super Sonic couldn't hurt him, so Knuckles had to go activate, generators in a power plant so that the electricity would shock the water, killing him because he's made of, water. I think Sonic X did a similar thing. I think. Or Sonic X, he like bumped him once and that was it. I actually can't recall. That might have just been me getting the comics mixed up, but that was that comic angered me. Now the cool music goes away.
Yeah, they should have reversed the music.
That would have been so good.
And I killed him before the chorus got finished.
The shocking him with the power plant thing, it makes sense, but at the same time, this is an ancient water god that's achieved this truly...
Yeah, it's all this.
If you want to get speed boost quickly, jump.
I thought that killed your speed.
No. Just enough. Short hops. For people who don't know, in case.
Yeah, well, this fight isn't really that hard. Something I.
If you get stuck in these fireballs in the second section and the tornadoes, you can get screwed rather quickly.
Yeah, so I feel it's kind of unfair because his fireballs have a bit of a homing effect. Oh, he's using whirlpool.
You can also grind on his big laser, but it's really hard
Wait,
to...
you can?
No, you can't.
I didn't think so.
I seem to remember...
I've heard that was fake.
I was thinking there's no grinding in this game. That would make sense.
That might have been an old rumor, but I seem to remember a speedrunner bringing it up.
I do remember a similar thing of you could go up the laser somehow, but I seem to remember that being called fake.
That's it.
Explosion.
It's not like that's needed or anything. Well, look, a minute and 26 seconds. It's almost like it's not that hard. Actually, how did the Runaway guys do on this? Because I stopped watching.
What?
How did the Runaway guy, how did they do on the final boss? Because I stopped watching.
Better than you would think, but not good. Now, the positive energy of Super Sonic neutralized him. He's nice again.
You mean we beat the evil out of him?
Yes.
Because that's how it works in video games. You beat the evil out of them. Just
Yes.
just like how Wario beat money out of things.
Chaos has changed again. This time for the better.
Yeah! Super Sonic must have neutralized it, so it's nice again.
Tails doesn't make any sense. Get out of here.
We beat the evil out of him.
Child you were protecting. They stayed alive for generations and now
So they didn't need protecting, man.
Huh?
The Chows he was protecting stayed alive for generations. Guess they didn't need protecting. They were fine for the years he was in the Master Emerald. And now they're peaceful with humans. It's not like the child species is gone.
Thank you so much.
Also, where is she taking him?
They're dead.
Back in time. To another world.
Except that he's not dead. It was just implied that all we did was neutralize him, and he's fine.
You see, they're gone. Oh, yeah.
Back in time. To another world.
I always assumed they died here.
No.
But Tikal's already dead.
Or is she?
They went back in time.
That doesn't make sense either.
It's a video game.
Okay.
Oh, we just
Coming out with one of the greatest lines in
we
any
just
video
let
game
Eggman get away.
ever.
They have no necks.
Hey, look, obligatory big shot.
All's well that ends well, right?
There it is. You ass towels.
But everyone evacuated just in time.
All's well that ends well. I mean, these, trillions of dollars of property damage.
And the government will pay for it.
And apparently, as they were rebuilding, Station Square also found one of the Chaos Emeralds and gave it to Tails as a present.
That's canon in Adventure 2.
Yep.
Was that line in Sonic X?
Yes.
So
Same plot point.
wait, how does Sonic X connect the two? Because it actually does show you them rebuilding the city.
Sonic X has a mini saga where they evacuated people to this nearby city, and everyone's living over there for a while. And during that time, they're rebuilding Station Square, and the Adventure 2 stuff picks up after that mini saga, because remember, a lot of people forget Sonic X covers Sonic Battle.
Why is that in there as well? When does it cover Sonic Battle?
I believe it's in between the adventure games.
But wait, Shadow was in Sonic Battle, so Sonic
Oh,
X...
wow.
Wasn't he? So, is it...
The robot from Sonic Battle, Emerald, is in Sonic X, but I don't think Shadow's in that story arc.
Which is strange, because I swear he was in Sonic Battle.
But they do take time to rebuild.
Ah. So they do acknowledge it.
Yes.
So should we talk about our feelings about this game as a whole?
Might as well, yeah.
First, before we do that fun recording fact, it's not going to be this in terms of uploading, but this is the first LP we've technically completed. Okay, go.
all those games you're seeing, this was the first one we actually finished. Who wants to start?
Guacamelee will probably
Garza, but you start.
be ended soon, but
As
this is the...
As I had stated, while I constantly refer to the Ego Raptor and stuff, I only did that because I will admit the game is very flawed, but I feel most of the stuff that people complain about in the game is kind of unfair, because just a bunch of games from that era have the same problems. No one gives the original Resident Evil shit for its terrible voice acting. It just gets a free pass because it's fun to make fun of, but this, it's like, no, this one's objectively bad. I could understand hating the story more in the original because you couldn't skip the cutscenes, but in this one, you can. As I stated, I just think while the game is very flawed, it's still fun because the only character I don't like playing is Big, and even then I only don't like playing Big, that was a weird statement, yes, because I find Big boring and not really objectively bad. As I stated, I will make this very clear, it is a very flawed game, but it's aged about as well as Mario 64 or basically anything else from that era.
Carter.
Kind of similar to Carson, it's... The game's okay, but you can see some age, but in a modern internet
Well,
setting...
see, you say it's aged. What's aged?
Like I
The-
said, it is.
Because I know people like say the voice acting's bad, but that's hit or miss whatever rights you play. Some people like to say the story's bad. I think it's campy but not bad.
What I
I
consider
think it has like solid gameplay, and especially compared to what people say, I think this is like a good role model for a good 3D Sonic game.
what I consider
And as a jump to 3D, it's amazing.
what I consider aged is because it's a jump to 3D like Mario 64. There's the rub around the edges, clipping, and just kind of.
Okay, but first of all, this is the DX version. The original version isn't as bad as this one.
Like I said, I've heard they're about equal.
Equal in some parts, other parts not so
But
much.
like any game now is still has all those problems.
That's why I said that.
And so how has it aged if it still stands up to the standards that games of present day are held to? At least this was a complete game.
Yeah.
So how can it be aged?
The
if
AAA
it stands-
industry has done shit in a
So,
modern.
but in order for you to say it's aged, you'd have to say it hasn't stood the test of time. But as far as present day games, this game is actually
If we're
good.
comparing it to terrible kind of rushed AAA, massacres,
Which is what most of the games are now.
that I can agree with.
And I mean, it doesn't matter what company. It's almost always the same problems. How can you say this one is worse? How's it aged?
The reason I consider it aged is more not so much in gaming as a whole, but to me, within. I feel later Sonic games are more refined, and later Sonic games that I consider really good, I think work better and are less awkward than this. But if we're talking about gaming as a whole, then we do have that thing of, compared to a lot of AAA games, it's not.
See, I just think when you say something has aged, boy, I think it's like kind of like a cop out half the time, because I mean, yeah, sure there were glitches, but it had those glitches before. It's not like you look back. If you're gonna say it's aged badly, you have to compare it to something. Yeah, sure, you could say it's compared to other Sonic games, but
Well, that's
there
why.
there are just inherent flaws with like Unleashed. In Unleashed,
That's
you
why
boost too fast, you fly off the edge. How is this game then aged worse?
That's why I was comparing it to.
Its
as I
gameplay
said.
mechanics aren't flawed.
That's why I compared it.
I can kind of disagree with that.
I would think this game has some of the tightest 3D Sonic controls of
I
any Sonic game.
disagree with that.
I see.
I do not. I have never really enjoyed how this game and Adventure 2 control, where I feel it's a little bit too floaty and awkward for my taste.
See, but that's how I feel about every modern Sonic game. Except for Color. Well, no, Colors too. First time I played Colors, I couldn't run in a straight line. I had to teach myself how to run in a straight line in Colors because I could not make it do it. Same thing with HD Unleashed. We Unleashed is stiff. Generations is just as weird, and I still can't run in a straight line in Generations. I would say, as far as controls go, Lost World is probably better control-wise than compared to anything of the modern games. It's just a bad game. I have to work my way through any controls of any Sonic game. Now, granted, I've grown up with these, so maybe that's why this has never been a problem. But I think these games control almost more precise than anything they made after, except for maybe I think SA2 controls better than this one. Heroes probably is one of the best examples of control in a Sonic game, but I feel like I'm tied down to my two party members. But then you have, maybe the pinnacle was Shadow. And that's just because Shadow probably more refined this style of gameplay because it still uses this kind of gameplay and just builds off of that. And it's probably the only one that does it, to me, absolutely right. And so how can you say that this game's control is worse and floaty?
Because the other Sonic games that I think controlled better.
But which ones? You've played, what have you played? You've played Heroes and Shadow and Lost World.
He played the Wii Unleashed.
Okay, Wii Unleashed, but you don't like Wii Unleashed.
That's
You don't like Wii Unleashed. You don't like Lost World. You've played Generations. I don't know how you feel about that one. You've not played much of Colors. So your argument's even based off games you haven't played.
Haven't played completely, but I do. Colors I thought controlled fine. We Unleashed control-wise wasn't really bad. Lost World, I thought the controls were weird, mostly because of the, awkward. Like, a lot of people had problems with the parkour. Shadow, I think, controls better than everyone on the internet gives it credit for.
I know, man, I will agree with you. See, I don't want to say if I compare this one to Shadow, because I feel like this one platform's better. But yeah, no, Shadow. If I was gonna admit that one game controlled better than like this one, I guess this one's kind of floaty. I don't think SA2 is floaty myself. But if I was gonna say that one game had the best controls of this version of Sonic game, it would be Shadow. But then any other game I've played has that weird. I mean, not We Unleashed. HD Unleashed. Is just kind of all over the place. And basically any boost gameplay, it's like it's either too floaty or too stiff to really work the way they want it to.
Don't know how long tangent's gonna go on.
Yeah, we kind of need to stop this.
Probably gonna cut to an
no.
slate type.
But no, if I was gonna pick a favorite Sonic game, it'd still be this one. I think this one is like the pinnacle of everything in a Sonic game. It has a story that I don't feel like. Some people say it's too over. It's like too serious. I don't think it's. Honestly, I don't see it as taking itself seriously at all.
I only see it as it does that when the city gets destroyed by perfect chaos.
But so what?
So.
Yeah, they all evacuated anyway.
Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff. I find this game campy, but I don't find the story bad.
Might need to be wrapping this.
Story. I feel like the story is like serious enough and self-aware enough to be good, and his gameplay is really good. And I just feel like, I mean, I like all the 3D Sonic games, despite all the problems I have with them. But as far as being completely satisfied with one, I think this one is the best one.
To kind of round out with 3D Sonic point, I feel the game isn't perfect, but in this modern internet age where, like, Egoraptor and some other people kind of turned this game into a shit show, I feel their arguments and complaints are not justified and ridiculous. And I do feel this game is worth trying for the few people that haven't.
Really big right here is the only thing I find bad. But
and even that's.
I just find
Sean showed you how to make it a good, manageable experience. This footage might not be going in the video. I might just cut to the title screen and just talk over static image of that. Because we need to be rounding this out.
Yeah.
I feel Sonic Adventure is worth trying for anyone who hasn't tried it, and that you shouldn't let the internet's just kind of bizarre take and on the game and just opinion of people like Egoraptor damper at least giving the game a try. Where I feel try it for yourself and see if you find it fun or bad. The more important thing is that even where I said I find it kind of, imperfect, I will at least recommend it. Fundamentally, I think it's perfectly okay when compared to, like, Mario 64 and stuff, which gets praised out the ass. And I feel Mario 64 has that stiff and awkward, unrefined...
Yeah, as I said around the beginning of this will be the last thing I say.
We need to be rounding this out.
That's what I've two more things. As I said around the beginning of this playthrough, I feel this game has aged better than Mario 64 in some instances, but that's only because Mario 64 has the DS version that fixes all of its problems, so it makes the N64 version look aged more. Outside of the skipping the cutscene thing, this game doesn't have much of a definitive version. And the last thing, my thing on Sonic's controls, while they are slippery, I feel in some instances it's a manageable slippery, and it's that odd form of slippery to where it allows you to break the game in ways you can't imagine. But I will admit it does lead to some kind of terrible...
And like, despite popular opinion, I think this game was an amazing jump to 3D for Sonic.
Like I said, comparing it to other jumps like that, it was.
I mean, it did die into obscurity, so apparently it did something right back then, but people seem to disacknowledge that now. It's still my favorite. I flip-flop between this one and SA2, but between those are my favorite.
Need to be rounding this out.
I said my piece.
But we're about to end this, and if there's a decent amount of comments and traction at this point, comments can fight, so... But we're on an awkward end slate that will transition to my actual Sonic Adventure end slate, so I'm gonna call this a recording. See you guys next time, whatever we play. I don't know what that's gonna be at this point, so see you all later.